Hey y'all, just got back from Delta, 19th and 20th. We fished a club tournament there Saturday and Sunday, both 6-hour tournaments. And the tide was high tide to outgoing, and the weather was all over the place.
Correct.
So Saturday was windy with clouds in the morning and then sun in the afternoon. Sunday was really thick clouds in the morning and most of the day, and even a little bit of sprinkle on the water. And they are completely different days. Both days fished completely different. So with that, let's get into it. Saturday for me, my main dirty work was done on this Dobbins spinnerbait right here. It's kind of a citrus shaddy or a sexy shad color with a 3.8 threadfin shad Kitech on it. Basically just slow rolling this bad boy around isolated tules, weed clumps, and other ambush points, because they were mid-column looking for bait fish for what I was looking for. Fishing mainly islands in the morning. The other thing that I was doing with the 1-2 punch was a buzz bait, and this is a white horny toad that's on here, and just slow rolling this around. My partner was throwing a Cinco with it's like a laminate, like a red and black laminate on a weighted Cinco, and he was catching them with that. There was a ton of small fish that we had caught throughout the day. I think I counted it, we had like 26 fish by the time we were done. And a lot of them, or I'd say over half of them, were probably dinks, but a little under half was actually just keepers. Mainly just flipping. There was some other, like I had like a spook bite and a couple other things. They're just solo one-offs. Realistically, this and that black and red Cinco were probably our heavy lifters for Saturday. Our total weight was 1117. With that said, we lost multiple good fish that were in that 2 to 3 pound class, or 3+ ish class, that would have bumped that weight up a lot more. They just wouldn't stay pinned. How was your Saturday?
Well, I made a decision to run to a spot. It was very calm water first thing in the morning. Like, I had no wind, it was flat, and I was kind of threw me off, as well as the incoming tide in the morning. The area that I went to was not, it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Right, like when you're fishing, and I made it work. We started fishing around. I threw a buzz bait, caught a couple dinks, and I was just thinking, because the water was so slick calm, that I needed to go something more subtle. So in the morning I went to the frog, River Sea Frog, and I started putting in some work with it, defending my area as well.
Yeah, I had a little bit of competition.
I had some competition, so I'd be going down a bank and boat coming in on the other side where I was wanting to go to. So I'd turn, and one time I turned and zoomed the frog out there, and as soon as it hit the water right in front of the other boat, it blew up and I had a fish. So I had to go all the way back across the channel to go chase it. But we caught some fish. I threw the jackhammer, got some fish on that. I'm actually putting a Magnum breaking shad on it. This thing absolutely works. It gives you extreme action on the back of that.
Yeah. So they actually designed that for like a Nico rig or Neko, or however you want to pronounce it, or a shaky head. If you throw that thing on a chatterbait, it dances.
Yeah.
And it has like a really good rhythm with it, with both, like, with actually kind of any different chatterbait that you use, that I've used, it actually like creates its own wave basically according to what
Correct.
it is.
And then on top of it, it's a really good material. Like it stays on the bait. It's not like some of the other baits that you put on there and
like a Kitech.
Like a Kitech, you're working at putting it back on, right? But my partner started throwing this craw Texas rig. It's
made by Gambler.
Made by Gambler, and it's got some orange flake in it, and he started putting work in, and I was kind of like, well, what do I have to match? And so I went to the missile baits, the D-Bomb. This is Super Craw. So it's got some of the same colors in it. And I started catching fish with that. And you know, he was still getting more than I was. So I started moving around. I went to Kinky Beaver, the Watermelon Red, which I love. One of my favorite baits.
That actually just reminds me of what I missed on Saturday.
And we caught some pretty good fish on it. Once it started getting a little brighter, they weren't like super, like the fish were kind of funky this last weekend. Yeah. They weren't super aggressive like they have been the last couple trips out. It was almost like they needed to be a little more finessey. I did catch some on a drop shot just because I knew that it was going slower. And I went to the smaller frog and in white, because that's the way I like to go. Once it gets bright, I go white. And I picked up some on this. I think we had 980 or something like that.
High nines, somewhere around the high nines.
High nines, not bad for a 15 boat tournament.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that pretty much my day. My partner put in a lot of work, flipping the craw,
lines or
tule lines, weed lines, anything that he could get into. He was picking up fish.
That actually, what he was saying that. So I was actually throwing this rage bug on Saturday and Sunday, but Saturday I was using this with a punch on the outside weed clumps. So like wherever there was like isolated weed clumps on those deeper edges, there had to be deep water nearby. The overall theme for my Saturday was deep water access. Had to be deep water nearby. I don't think we caught anything where there was just shallow water around.
Yeah, I did get to a point when I was fishing in that area that the tide slowed down, and me personally, I don't like non-moving tide. So I actually picked up and ran towards Big Break. And got out there, and I think I caught like 2 fish over there, but it didn't really pan out. I was basically fishing it to hopefully pick up the tide and pick up some fish. And I ended up, just killing time and running back up.
Speaking of slow tide, Sunday was the last event coming. Then it was slow, and then with that long transfer, and then it was kind of hard to find current for the areas that I was fishing, and we had to juck and jive on Sunday. Sunday was a little bit different of a bite for us. They would not hit this spinnerbait, but my partner was picked up a white Strike King bait, like just a typical Strike King bait, like one of the KVD ones. Silver blades, all white with a hint of red on it, and he caught a lot of fish on that. Caught some decent fish. And while he was doing that, I was throwing the buzz bait, and our size wasn't there. All of our fish were a lot smaller. We kind of thought we could go back on Sunday and undo the mistakes we made from Saturday, and it was a completely different day. When I dropped the trolling motor in the water on Saturday, I had it in scout mode, and there was life everywhere. When I dropped it in the water on Sunday, I couldn't see a bait fish anywhere. It was completely different, and a lot of the times that we had that, we kind of ran into it. So with that, moving for the tide, I moved towards Big Break from where we were, started heading that direction. Went into an area with like sparse tules and like little hard tule pockets and stuff. Throwing a frog, again, black. This is actually during the day, throwing black. Missed a good one, picked up another one, and then went through that whole area, punching, doing all sorts of other stuff. Nothing really panned out there that was worth it. Got out of there, moved to another section, started punching, again with that watermelon red rage tail. Started punching with that through the hyacinth pennywort and picked up a couple more fish. One of them only counted towards the bag. And then after we ran through that, we just basically started covering water, and my partner throwing that white spinnerbait picked up one more good fish, and our total weight was 10.5. Should have been more with the fish we missed, just like Saturday, but is what it is, we all missed some. So ended up with first place for the club with 10.5. It was tough for a lot of people.
A lot of people had a hard time.
How was your Sunday?
It was somewhat of the same as Saturday for us. It was definitely slower, but my partner, he picked it up. He kept throwing it, and it worked. He put most of the fish in the boat on Sunday. I did bird dog a couple fish for him. Threw frog into a couple spots. I felt a fish with the frog one of the times, and I told him, I said, throw that in there.
Follow it up.
Follow it up. Even though I felt the fish, I figured it had a negative experience, but he threw it in, fish on. It was a keeper. It actually called a fish, so.
Must have been a hungry fish.
It was hungry. But it was a great ambush spot, though.
Yeah.
You know, it was one
That
of those.
is
One of those things where you're like, there's got to be a fish there.
For those that are stuck around this long, they definitely were shot callers. Like you could go, look, it's a tule point. Look, it's a tule clump. Look, it's a weed clump. Look, it's a, like those textbook ambush points. That's where they were. They were in those textbook ambush points. Obviously not every one of them, but when they were bit, that's where they were.
Yeah. But yeah, we had like 940, and we ended up second place for the club on Sunday with 940. It was a good weekend though.
Yeah, it was a fun weekend. Had an awesome time with my partner. I never fished with him before. Definitely was a fun time. Zero complaints about the weekend.
Yeah,
a good one. Besides, all of the bigger fish that I had located had pretty much either not bit or half bit, and it was kind of, I was looking forward to the weekend a lot more because I thought I had a lot more set up, and that weather just kind of shut it down. So.
Yeah, that hurricane.
Yeah, the hurricane, the rain.
Yeah.
Some other stuff
rain
that happened
in
that
August.
weekend before. Yeah. So, is that it?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty
Good
much
times.
it. If you have any questions, comment down below. Hit me up on Instagram. And until next time, I hope you get them.
I missed that tule. Oh shit! That's on fucking video, bro. That's a fucking video, man.